also like to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Tijani Muhammad Band for his leadership of the 74th session, and to salute Secretary General Antonio Guterres for his continued efforts in promoting peace, security, and development during these challenging times. Mr. President, this United Nations General Assembly is being convened at a time when the global community has been galvanized in pursuit of impartiality, respect, and justice for all, in the face of a pandemic that presents global economic uncertainties unlike any we have witnessed in recent history. Distinguished delegates, moments like these, as difficult and challenging as they appear, also provide us with an opportunity to temper a culture that must now find new meaning through the reconnection to old ideals. Indeed, we must pursue an economic construct which responds to community and to conscience. These United Nations must ensure that the appropriate response addresses the inconsistencies of every nation at all levels and must not be seen to favor the more developed and the more powerful. This response must not only make for a greener planet and cleaner oceans, but must also provide hope for a growing, diverse generation destined to congregate at all levels across the globe to dialogue on issues of mutual importance in the interests of this generation and future ones. Mr. President, history will record this 75th session as an historic one. The impact of COVID-19 continues to redefine our very existence and to test our every resilience. It has reshaped how organizations such as this united body continues to function and how all countries do business. The reality is that small island developing states like Dominica already face several inherent challenges, and the added consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic have further exacerbated these difficulties, including the limitation of funds to protect the health and well-being of our citizens. Mr. President, fellow delegates, the Commonwealth of Dominica recorded its first case of the dreaded COVID-19 virus on March 20 of 2020, and we have been fortunate thus far to have only 30 confirmed cases, of which only 6 are currently active, with no recorded deaths. Mr. President, when Dominica recorded its first active case of COVID-19, the government immediately imposed responsible measures in accordance with World Health Organization standards and protocols. Our government adopted a series of containment measures, which included enforcement of curfew hours and the closure of all ports of entry, educational institutions, non-essential businesses, and public services for a period of 3 months. As a result of these actions, and with the support of every citizen, we united in a collective fight against the pandemic, a fight which resulted in the Commonwealth of Dominica being ranked very highly among countries that have remained steadfast in their goals of reducing and eliminating all active cases of the pandemic over the past 8 months. Unfortunately, despite our best efforts, health experts have now informed us that we must ready our populations for a second wave. It is therefore the sober moral and ethical duty of us leaders who appreciate the work of the experts to serve notice to our citizens. Mr. President, for small states like ours, this potential second wave has drastically raised the stakes, and if we do not rise to the occasion, we could lose an entire generation. Mr. President, at every level of our response to COVID-19, we have respected the fundamental rights and freedoms of all our citizens. The government remains committed to ensuring that all citizens who are infected are properly treated and cared for, while at the same time continuing to deliver regular services to all citizens. Students have returned to the schools, and businesses are operating once more in their new normal. This crisis has, however, resulted in job losses to many of our citizens, particularly those working in our fragile tourism industry. This threatens to undermine the development gains that we have made and to plunge many of our citizens into poverty. Distinguished delegates, as leaders of our respective governments, the task is ours to provide guidance and hope to our populations. This is a greater challenge for small states like Dominica that must simultaneously battle the effects of climate change, other external shocks, and our inability to access concessionary financing to build the necessary resilience to natural and economic shocks that are way beyond our control. Mr. President, fellow delegates, the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica will continue to use platforms such as this United Nations General Assembly debate to highlight the inequality and inadequacy which continues to permeate our generation. And to this end, we'll call on these United Nations to assist small states like ours in unlocking funds that have been made available to small island developing states to fight climate change and to build resilience. Fellow delegates, in spite of our many challenges, we have not sat idly by. As a response to the complete devastation of our island by Hurricane Maria in 2017, we developed a National Resilience Development Strategy. This strategy has since been translated into a Climate Resilience Recovery Plan, which will guide us on our journey towards becoming a climate resilient nation. It is an ambitious but very achievable plan, and one that we are confident that with the support of our developmental partners, it can serve as a pathway for other small island developing states who share similar challenges and experiences to ensure their continued survival. Fellow delegates, the situation is dire, the situation is urgent, and we welcome any support which could influence the provision of adequate financial support in a timely and equitable manner. Mr. President, our fiscal and financial resilience is paramount. It is therefore in the interest of all our nations to explore more adaptable solutions to de-risking, which should involve broadening the revenue base of seeds. Distinguished delegates, Dominica extends congratulations to the Republic of Cuba on the nomination of the Henry Reeve International Contingent of Doctors specializing in major diseases and epidemics for the Nobel Peace Prize. This is a fitting recognition of the sterling work that Cuba has done in providing support across the world to countries confronting pandemics and natural disasters. The Cuban Medical Brigade has been an exemplar of health diplomacy and genuine internationalism, and a true embodiment of the term being our brother's keeper, and we sincerely hope that the world is taking note. We salute Cuba for its humanitarian assistance to over 40 countries, including Dominica, who have received immeasurable benefit from the supportive work of the Cuban doctors, nurses, and healthcare professionals, particularly in this critical period of addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. It is in light of this that we reiterate our call to end this 60-year-long unfair and unjustifiable blockade against the Cuban government and people. And despite being substantially disadvantaged by this blockade, Cuba continues to reach out to support others. And if this crisis has shown us nothing else, it must have shown us how vulnerable we all are and how life as we know it can change in an instant, and therefore call and will continue to call for a change of policy on this matter. The government of Dominica also salutes the government and people of the People's Republic of China and the government and people of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, who, notwithstanding their own challenges, have both made significant contributions to the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic in the Caribbean region. We also express our sincere gratitude to the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, the Pan American Health Organization, and the World Health Organization for exceptional guidance during and throughout this pandemic. To our global partners and supporting agencies who continue to assist our vulnerable Caribbean region during these challenging times, we say thank you. The Commonwealth of Dominica, like every other small island developing state, remains hopeful that our population size and small economies will not place us at a disadvantage as it relates to accessing COVID-19 vaccines and other medications in the coming months, but rather small states like Dominica will be allowed fair and equitable access to global supplies. Mr. President, Dominica remains committed to collaborating with the United Nations and all its agencies, as well as member states, to strengthen the mission impacted by every decision we take, and they are depending on us to do the right thing. And notwithstanding our many challenges, limitations, and differences, we owe it to them to rise to the occasion. I thank you.